Hello everybody and welcome to this tutorial. Today I am going to go ahead and start using the tools which I have previously mentioned, DNS Chef and Set Toolkit. Now Set Toolkit will allow us to, well, it's actually called Set, but here you're gonna invoke it with the command Set Toolkit. Anyway, we're gonna use it to clone a website, and we're going to use DNS Chef to redirect all requests to that website from the machines which answer to our DNS servers to a particular IP address. Now, if this sounds a bit complex, or if you didn't understand exactly what I said, bear with me for a moment here, and soon you will realize very fast what I meant by it. So let's just go ahead and bring up this DNS Chef command here. You can do this manually as well. You can actually configure a DNS server to run locally and to conduct IP to hostname to IP resolutions. But that's a bit complex and there's a lot of configuration involved. It's a lot simpler to just use the DNS Chef tool. And here you have these arguments which I've mentioned just now, where a domain name gets resolved to an IP address. So basically you give any IP address that you want here. Basically that will be of your own web server, so your own IP address within LAN. And here you have a fake domains. So you give a name of a real domain and specify an interface. Now here's what I mean by this. Here, where it says fake IP, this can be your IP within LAN on which your Apache server is running, your web server, or you can give it your public IP address. So if you give it your public IP address, you're going to need to do some configuration on your router in order to let all traffic pass to your web server. However, this is not really advisable. Rather, instead, what is far better is to have a VPN. I have showed you in the previous tutorials how you can use and configure VPN services. Quite simple, actually, nothing much to it. It's in your network manager. You just add a VPN of a different kind, and that's it. I would advise you need PPPTP VPN with a static IP address. I think it's going to cost you about $10 a month, something like that, if you want to run it. If you want to do this attack over outside of your LAN network, but within LAN, we're going to use some local IP addresses. Now, key thing to note: there is no difference here. Literally, between an attack within your own network or outside of your own network. The only difference is the IP addresses that are used. And a second thing, this will pretty much work with every single website out there. However, there are some caching problems with browsers, so that can present some difficulties here, but we'll see how it goes. First of all, we've infected a router with our own DNS. We've changed the DNS settings there, and now we're going to run DNS Chef. Now, the interface specification is simply the interface that you are using. If you're not sure which interface you are using, you can check that with ifconfig, as I've showed you in the previous tutorials. Or you can actually type in all zeros. So instead of 192, you can type in a 0, instead of 168, a 0, instead of 1, a 0, and instead of 102, a 0 as well. This thing this should work as far as I see, but as the tutorial progresses, I'll see how it goes. I did give it a shot a couple of times before this tutorial and I had some problems. Hopefully you will not encounter the same. I've had some problems due to the configuration that I am running in the background, but I had to change a lot of things. But none of those things, you won't need to actually do any of those things, primarily because you're going to be using your home computers where you don't have these crazy things that I have here as well. Anyway, enough of that nonsense. I'm just going to go ahead and run this. And in case you didn't figure out what these IP addresses are, let me just type in ifconfig. And there you go, ETH0, that's the interface that I use to connect to the internet, and that's the LAN IP address that I have been assigned, 192.168.1.102. That is the same IP address with which we have typed into our router to be our designated DNS server. But this is randomname.com. Okay, that's not gonna work, probably because randomname.com, okay, it might exist, but I honestly don't know. So let's just go over and pick one website. We're not actually going to do anything to a website, so it doesn't really matter. That's my favorite forum, Linux questions. This is definitely a place to be. I mean, the amount of answers that people give here is amazing. And I don't think anybody's ever going to try to hack a username and a password for this forum, primarily because there is no point, there are no finances here or anything of a kind. This is just people helping one another out. Anyway, we're just gonna go ahead and copy this, minimize the browser, re-invoke our command where it says fake domain. I'm gonna delete this, paste linuxquestions.org. Go ahead and press enter, and that's going to resolve all requests on our DNS servers from that. All the requests that have linuxquestions.org will inevitably be resolved to this IP address here, which is our own web server. But that's not going to do us much good if we don't have a web server that's running. So let's just take care of that, shall we? Clear the screen. Do I have anything of importance here? No, I do not. Now we need to do a set toolkit. Set OOL-kit. Keynote, there is no double T here, so just set and then double O. Press enter. And this tool is extremely easy to use. I mean, there isn't really much to it. It's very powerful, but it's very simple. I have no idea how they managed to achieve to do this, but apparently they have. Anyway, you have a great deal of options here which you can use. I would definitely advise that you try some of them out. Definitely type in 6 for help, see what's there. Just read a little bit through it. Maybe you can, I mean, you're probably not going to try all of them out, but I would definitely advise that you pick a couple or at least one other than the one that we're going to use today and see how it works. All of these things have their own submenus, so let's go into social engineering attacks. See, there's like spear phishing attacks, vectors, website attack vectors, infectious media generator, creative payload, mass mailer, except there are lots of things here. You can conclude what they are for a lot of them just by reading the names, but I would definitely advise you to read a bit more and to just try some of these things, because there are so many options here, there are so many vectors of attack. It's ridiculous. Something is bound to work on the site that you want to do something on. Like, something is bound to work. Not only in Set Toolkit, but you have so many tools here in Kali Linux and on the net. So many options. Something is always bound to work. So don't worry about it. Anyway, what we need is website attack vectors, because we're going to be doing that. And again, we have submenus, a lot of them. Let's go with credential harvester attack method because we want to take some credentials. So press 3. And now we want a site cloner. So we want to clone the site and have it stored on our local web server. This is web templates. You can have a web template that is standing by somewhere. You can clone a site, or you can custom import. Anyway, press 2. IP address. So I need the IP address, and in order to get an IP address, I'm afraid I'm gonna need to use a ping. Let's just zoom in a little bit. NS lookup Linux questions.org. Amazing, amazing. NS lookup. Okay, so this is the domain and this is the IP address. I'll just do this instead. You can also check it like this. It's a lot simpler. Just type in ping and there we go. Same IP address, just a different method, I suppose. I wanted to show you something else. Okay, so IP address, but we don't actually need the IP address here. Sorry, this is my mistake. This option is used for what server will the post to. So sorry, this is my bad. You need to type in 192.168.1.102. Basically, this is your IP address. And for the postback tumbling, if you are using yep, there we go. So it also says if you're using an external IP address, use your external IP address for this. But we are obviously not going to use our external IP addresses now today, but you of course can if you have a VPN. Press enter here, and now we need a domain name, the full thing with HTTP and www. Easiest way to just go ahead and Control C and then paste it back in here. And there you go. Notice that the protocol is HTTP, but this works with HTTPS as well. There's literally no difference. Just type in HTTPS and it's going to clone it, no problems. You can see here the title, it says set supports both HTTP and HTTPS. You don't have to worry about it. It says right here in the title. And I have tried it out with some HTTPS sites. It does indeed work. No problems at all. Okay, so let's go. It's cloning it. This could take a little bit of time, and there are a lot of tutorials out there on the net. They basically say that you should wait and stay here, but apparently with the newer versions of set, you can't. So just go ahead and press enter, 99 to exit, 99 to return, exit social engineering toolkit, clear the screen, and now we have our website cloned. Here, let me just show that to you. So this is linuxquestion.org, and if I type in 192.168.1.102, you see, there we go. This is our IP address, and the website is pretty much the same. Okay, the zoom is different, but this, I suppose I can zoom it in, no problems there. Maybe. Oh yeah. Oh well. The site that we have copied is even better because there are no ads on it. That's fantastic. I didn't copy the ad as well. And this site that we have copied it to, the clone actually contains a JavaScript in which will harvest the credentials, if I'm not mistaken. How we will do that, I will show you in the follow-up tutorial, where we will actually be extracting the credentials and saving them to our files on our computer. Now, this sort of attack is very important, primarily because some of the previous attacks which I have showed you, they are specific attacks, and this one is a general attack. This will work on pretty much anything out there. And it can be used in combination with SSL strip as well. So imagine if you can use SSL strip remotely somewhere to strip the encryption request, to strip the request for encrypted sites. But SSL strip doesn't always work, so that's kind of a tricky thing to do. Anyway, I'm gonna leave everything running like it is, and I bid you farewell, and I hope to see you in the next tutorial.